You just don't believe what is going on. Even if you read it in the papers, you just don't believe what is going on in the libraries. Even if you see it on the news, you just don't believe what is going on in the schools. Drag queens in stilettos get to dance around for toddlers. Kirk Cameron doesn't get to read a nice book about family. But that is going on. And it's so much worse than that. James O'Keefe at Project Veritas has just come out with an expose. A man named Joseph Bruno. Joseph Bruno, Dean of Students at Francis W. Parker School. This is in Chicago. The Francis W. Parker School is a private school that goes all the way up to 12th grade, goes all the way down to pre-K. And here is what Dean Bruno had to say about his lesson plans.
I had our LGBTQ plus health center come in. They were passing around butt plugs and dildos to my students, talking about queer sex, using lube versus using spit.
Meet Joe Bruno, Dean of Students at the prestigious Francis W. Parker Private School in Chicago, which happens to charge $40,000 per student.
They're just passing around dildos, butt plugs. The kids are just playing with them. They're like, how does this butt plug work? How do we do, how does this work? That's a really cool part of my job.
Parents might be stunned to learn that Bruno's version of love and acceptance means handing out sex toys to underage students.
That's a really cool part of his job. That's the really cool part. What's so devastating about this clip is, one, it's more obscene even than I would expect, and my head is in the news all day long. It is very hard to shock me with anything going on in our schools and wherever these radicals reign. But this is a private school. This is a school that parents pay $40,000 for. This is what happens when you look at the public schools and you say, man, the public schools, they're so bad, they're so crazy, they're filling our kids' heads with such nonsense, especially in Chicago. Okay, I'm going to take this big financial hit. I'm going to pay a full college tuition every single year, pre-K through grade 12, to send my kid to this private school so that he can be groomed into weird, creepy sex stuff from a very, very young age, while the dean of students is giddy and bragging about it. That's how bad it is. And we don't believe it because we're always about 5 years behind, we conservatives. We're always kind of fighting the last battle, and the libs have moved on. And it just kind of breaks our brains. Even listening to that clip, my brain just kind of breaks. I think he can't, what does he really mean? What is he really saying? He can't possibly mean that. That is what he means. That is what he is doing. Now, the good news is conservatives are winning a little bit at pushing back on some of the woke stuff. We're not really winning in the schools all that well. We're not really winning in the media all that well. We're not really winning at the ballot box these days all that well. We are winning on one front, though, and that would be the ESG agenda. We are winning on the investor side of things. You've heard about ESG, that's the environmental, social, and governance policies that is just a kind of woke smorgasbord of policies that major asset managers demand that the companies that they invest in start to put into effect. The example that I keep using is that Cracker Barrel. The other day I was driving past a sign for Cracker Barrel and it said, come try our new vegetarian sausage. It's the Impossible sausage. It doesn't have any meat in it. And I thought, wow, ESG is real, because the vegetarian sausage at Cracker Barrel is obviously not in response to any consumer demand. It's not in response to market forces. Not one single vegetarian has ever walked into Cracker Barrel, not once. Okay, this is obviously in response to some woke Looney Tune calling them up from the asset managers and saying, hey, you need to wokeify your menu. So what did I do? I Googled, I said, who are the investors in Cracker Barrel? And what do you know? I forget who was number one and who was number two and who was number three, but it was BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, all these guys that are the big asset managers who are pushing this. So really good news, Vanguard is pulling out of the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative is one of these far left environmentalist policies being pushed in our economy. Vanguard, which is one of the three biggest asset managers, is pulling out of that. Why is Vanguard pulling out? Vanguard says it's going to withdraw to, quote, provide the clarity our investors desire about the role of index funds and about how we think about material risks, including climate-related risks. Okay, kind of a bland statement. Well, we just want to provide some more clarity on how we're using our investors' money. Yeah, okay. Who are the investors, though? Is Vanguard doing that because you or I maybe have some money in Vanguard or our retirement accounts or somehow tied to Vanguard? Or not really. The reason why Vanguard is doing this is because states are pulling their money from these woke funds. It wouldn't be enough if it were just me and you. It wouldn't be enough if it were the entire Daily Wire. Daily Wire has 1 million members, and we have many millions of readers and listeners across all of our shows and website. We've got 1 million active members who are paying a bunch of money to support the Daily Wire program, very much on board. If every single one of us called up Vanguard tomorrow and said, pull your money from these woke initiatives, Vanguard would laugh at us, okay? That's not enough. But what did happen? It wasn't just some group of people, some community, even a big company like the Daily Wire. The state of Texas called, okay? The state of Texas announced that they are pulling out of these woke asset managers, people like Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock. You've seen similar moves from red states all around the country. And we've been reporting on this for about 6 months now. This is key, and I hope that conservatives learn the lesson. The lesson here is that what fixed this problem, or what is starting to fix this problem, is not the market. It's not the free exchange of ideas and goods and services. What is fixing this problem right now is wielding political power. What is fixing this problem right now is the heavy hand of the state. Okay? People electing Republicans, putting them into office as state treasurers and similar offices, and then those state treasurers punishing these companies and saying, you jerks, if you keep using investor money to both retail investors and big institutional investors, big state investors like us, we are going to punish you and we're going to pull our money out. We don't give a damn what your returns are. We're going to pull it out because we don't want you pushing your weird, creepy leftist policies. And what happens? The asset managers blink. That's a very, very good thing. Conservatives used to understand how to wield political power. They haven't in the last couple of decades. 10, 20 years ago, you would have heard the conservatives say, well, that's not right. That's fascism. If the state treasurers call the asset managers and say, don't trans the kids and get rid of all of the food that we like and upend our way of life, that's fascism. It's authoritarian. We can't ever stop the left from controlling our corporations. Yeah, no, we can't. Okay, that's called self-government. Okay, that's why we elect these people in the first place, is to put the will of the people within the bounds of law and the Constitution into effect. We're not going to make an idol out of environmentalism. We're not going to make an idol out of the weird sex stuff. We're not even going to make an idol out of the free market, this ideal that doesn't actually exist in practice. We are going to say, hey, politicians, put your constituents first and represent our views, because we are supposed to live in a self-governing republic. And by golly, we're going to keep trying to live in one as long as we possibly can. The rest of the show continues now. You do not want to miss it. If you're not a member, click the link in the description and join us.